Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to Starbound. My name is Sabouts. I'm joined by Marcus Aurelius,
Howdy.
and we're ready to continue
Yeah.
deforesting planets.
Yeah, so we're on a new planet now. We wanted to provide you with a little bit of different visual stimuli, so now we're going to be deforesting a snow planet as opposed to a forest planet. And in the meantime, we are going to, in the last episode, if you watched it, we talked about the state of 4X gaming, and we focused a lot on space. So in this episode, we're going to talk a little bit about fantasy and realistic, but we're going to start, however, because it's something I want to talk with Sabouts about. Sabouts about. There you go. And that is achievements, like in-game achievements. And the reason why this came up is because I was looking at my achievements in this game, Starbound, and I noticed that a full half of the players had never even achieved completion of the first quest that you have to do just to start the game. And so I wanted to speak with Sabouts about achievements, what he thought about them, what's good, what's bad about them, and maybe one of your most cherished achievements.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, no, I like the achievement system with and how Steam does it. I mean, I know people who that's all they do is
That's not
play the actual games for the achievements. And so, I mean, I know somebody who actually, they'll buy a game, they play the whole thing through, get all the achievements. They won't stop playing the game till they get every single achievement. Then they move on to the next game, which means that they're like several games behind the most recent games. But
yeah, I think that, however, is a great way to play games because you really get your money's worth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's kind of the big reason for achievements is I think it's the developer's way of, being like, hey, check out all this stuff with my game.
Go down and get that chest, man.
Oh, where is it? Oh, here it is. Nice.
I'm sorry, I interrupted your thought, though. Please continue.
Oh, you're good. It's just a way for, the developer to really get people to kind of, check out parts of the game they may not otherwise check out.
Yeah, which I think is great. In my own personal gameplay style, I like achievements, and there are some certainly that I set out to get, but I've never been that guy who needs to get every single achievement.
Yeah, I'm not the same way. There is one game that I really, and even achievements for other games I don't fully follow, but there is one game that I try to get achievements on, and that's EU4. Something about that achievement system. I think they just did it excellent because the achievements most of the time are involved. There's your simple achievements, like build an army, win a war, but there's some achievements that are just super complicated, like like the Three Mountains achievement with conquering the world as Ryuku, or the Basileus achievement, which is reclaiming the Holy Roman lands as Byzantium.
Yeah, I will say I personally have not been motivated by that, but I should have been. Like, now that I think about it, you're right. They do a fantastic job of getting you to try different aspects of the game that you might not of your own. Like, for example, I have only played Byzantium because I just love Byzantium. I play them in every single game. So you really have to kind of encourage me to be like China or France, because
exactly.
There's nothing natural about them that makes me want to play them.
That's actually funny though. I only have one EU4 series on my channel, and it's with Byzantium.
Yeah, I was really surprised because when I started my channel, I was like, here's what I'm going to be known for. I'm going to be known as the guy that plays Byzantium and everything. And then I found out that, shit, everyone loves Byzantium.
Yeah, right?
They're like the most popular faction in every game that includes them. So I was
they are. So much for that.
Yeah, so I'm like, all right, well, there goes my one claim to uniqueness. But it's funny because it was before my channel even. Do you need some? Because
yeah.
I have loved the Byzantine Empire in games for as long as I can remember. Since essentially when I learned about them for the first time in medieval, not 2 Total War, but medieval, just the initial medieval Total War, I was so fascinated by the cataphracts and the Varangian Guard that ever since then I turned into like almost a scholarship thing now, where I have like 50 books about the Byzantine Empire, and I probably know more about it than most people who don't like teach it professionally.
Oh, that's fantastic. I mean, It's awesome. I love Byzantium, and the fact of just I like to read, on Wikipedia or any other sources I can find, just stories about, the sacking of Constantinople and everything, because it's just super interesting. It's like the Byzantium Empire is like, the last of the Holy Roman Empire, and it's almost depressing. Their stories their story is just so sad.
Well, my viewers are probably expecting this, but I don't want to be a pedant, but the Holy Roman Empire is actually the German Empire, started by Charlemagne. The Byzantines were just Roman Empire.
Ah, yes.
Sorry.
Well, I'm definitely not a huge history buff with all that stuff. I just like reading it all.
Yeah. But yeah, so it's amazing though, and it's one of my there's a chest right there for you. There's nice. One of my main examples of gaming. Did you empty the chest?
Yeah, I'm actually taking out the actual what would it be, ottoman or whatever had stuff in it.
Okay, cool. Like gaming as something more than just entertainment. Like here's a story of someone who, because of a game, learned a whole historical subject that is really super obscure, that many people don't know about. I mean, most people, I presume, at least here in the States, think that the Roman Empire was like the Marcus Aurelius togas and whatnot, and then when it fell, and that was the end of it. And they have no idea that the empire lasted another 1,000 years, just based in Constantinople.
Yeah, exactly. I mean,
but we're getting kind of off topic. So,
yeah. I mean, I'm sure we could talk about that for a long time.
So back to achievements, though. Yes. So your statement of what is good about achievements, I wholeheartedly agree with. It does, and if done right, it will encourage you to see aspects of a game that you never otherwise would have.
Yeah, exactly.
And it also allows you a methodology by which you can get more money out of your game purchase. One of the negatives about achievements, though, is that it basically, how do I put this? It does not brainwash, but it uses human psychology. Like the same thing that when you go to a casino, all the bells ring in, like it influences your psychology to make you want to gamble.
Yeah.
It takes advantage of a human's addictiveness, a susceptibility to addictiveness. And this is more like in a free to play game where you buy stuff.
Clash of Clans.
But so in a sense of a game that just has achievements tacked on top of it that you've already paid for in full, it's not harmful. But I don't know. I always get a little squidgy whenever people take advantage, because now we're smart enough now. We're smart enough now to take advantage of human psychology in a way that truly impacts people's lives, and it's a little spooky.
And it's a scary thing. I mean, mobile gaming's a clear indicator of that, especially the free-to-play industry. I mean, it's just a prime example of taking advantage of people of today's, or people in general, impatientness to, waiting for things, and sort of that, spending small amounts of money. Like a lot of people, I notice, they'll spend small amounts of money and they don't think about it, but it adds up to large money in the long run. Like, you buy a few things for your free-to-play mobile game like that are $1 or $2, and you're like, oh, well, it's only $2. But if you do that 100 times,
Yeah.
So.
And just like a drug addiction, I think there are some people that are way more susceptible to it and end up spending like ridiculous amounts of money.
Yeah, just like your example of gambling. I mean, it's a prime example of how it can easily happen to anyone.
And then I've seen that the popularity of achievements in gaming has led to what's called the gamification of other things that aren't gaming, like work, for example. Like employers want to gamify like the work that their employees do to kind of keep them involved more, I guess, in it, or and I'm drawing a blank right now, but there are other more sinister aspects of gamification that I've read about that I just can't recall.
Yeah, I know what you mean, though.
It's kind of taught people how to push people's buttons, which is actually a very cool phrase when we talk about gaming.
That's a good point. Look, you're doing it now. No, that's pretty cool, actually. I mean, you got to take a look at, what's actually freaky when I think about it. So, how businesses in general are able to kind of, how do I say it? How do I use it? They've gotten pretty much good enough now they could track how, what people Google, what people look up, and what people shop for, and they'll actually send you ads for that stuff. I always thought that was super creepy.
Yeah, that definitely is. I agree with you completely. And unfortunately, that's the world we're moving into, and we're moving into it full speed ahead, and there's really no going back. Like, the technology opened that door, and it's never going to go away.
No, you can't shut that door once it's open. I mean, it's like when I first opened my own business, I started getting ads on my Pandora for services for people who own their own businesses, and I was like, how is this even possible? It just doesn't even make sense to me, but somehow they know.
Did you ever hear about the girl who went to Target and she didn't even know she was pregnant, but Target sent her to her house a bunch of like maternity coupons, and because they knew just by what she was buying that she was pregnant, even though that she didn't know it herself.
I did actually hear about that. It turned into a big lawsuit, didn't it?
Yes, it did.
Yeah.
But I mean, think about it now, though. It's going to be everything. Like, your car is going to report on how often you drive, how fast you're driving.
Yeah.
Your toaster is going to report on how dark you like your toast. I mean, yeah. And
everything's connected. I mean, in the line of work I do, like sometimes I install, because I do remodeling and everything for homes, and I'm installing now stoves that connect to people's phones via Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. I mean, and refrigerators and stuff. I can't believe where things are going. I mean, everything's going to be connected. I think give it like another 5-10 years, and I just think everything's going to be connected.
Yeah. I'm trying to stay away from that. Like, I connect to things that should be connected, like my Blu-ray player and my computer, but I'm never gonna buy like a online refrigerator. It just doesn't. I don't see any value in it. And like, another thing is like cameras. Like buying cameras in your house that you then connect to the internet. And it's ostensibly for your own protection and security, so that you can look at what's going on at your house from the internet. But I figure that those probably are not the hardest things in the world to hack.
No, not at all. I wouldn't want anything to do with that. In fact, and I don't know what it is now, but a long time ago, I knew that of a website where you could, and I am not sure if it was legal or I don't even know anything about it. I was much younger at the time, but back in there was a website you could actually go to and look at like traffic cameras and stuff. And
I'm actually okay with that because it's public.
Yeah, it was all public cameras, but it's just the fact that I don't think it wasn't like a government website or anything, or like a town website where you could go look at their cameras. It was like just a random, like really weird domain name website that you could go see these cameras. So I'm not even sure if it was legal or if it was okay to do. But the fact that, if it wasn't, and it was that easy to really set up a whole website where you could just go look at cameras at different intersections and such, I mean, I got to wonder how hard it is.
Yeah, that's like Batman stuff. That's like, oh, shoot, sorry, it's a bug. I'm going to try to catch it. Yeah.
Nice.
I already have one, though. It's a mud stag. Oh, well. There are like 50 different bugs in the game, and they're so small you can't really tell the difference between them. So you just have to hope that whatever bug you caught is one you never caught before.
Yeah. Oh, that's cool.
But okay, so wow, we just got really off topic though.
Yeah, I know. Wow, we're going down the rabbit hole here.
Yeah,
right?
but I think we pretty much handled achievements pretty well. So let's now move on to additional strategy games that are not in the space genre. And you mentioned to me, and we mentioned when we talked about achievements, that Europa Universalis 4 you think is a good example overall of a strategy game.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's one of my favorites. I mean, it's not a 4X. Well, it is a 4X game, and it's not. So that turns into a heated argument usually, so I try not to bring that up with a lot of people. But, some people call it a 4X game. Some people don't think it deserves the title. But, I mean, as a strategy game in general, I love Europa Universalis 4. I think I like the historical portion of it. And funny enough, my favorite thing about EU4 is that it's kind of it's an exact representation when you start out of what the world was during the time period you start in. And then it could just go completely haywire from there. I don't like playing historical starts or anything, or the advanced AI. I like to play it just completely random because I like to see crazy things like
There's a chest
Scottish.
for you down there.
Nice. I like to see crazy things like Scottish, Great Britain, and stuff like that.
Yeah.
I think that's the exciting portion for me. So
I do think that many people, including myself, share that opinion. It's really interesting to see where things go. And I think because we're invested in a way that we're not in other games. Like, for example, if you are from Britain, or if you're like me and you love the Byzantine Empire, you're really excited to see what happens to them in these games because you have a connection to them that you'll never have a connection to, like, whatever faction you're playing in Stellaris or
exactly.
Master of Magic.
Yeah, because it's like, even when I play other nations in EU4, I always find myself drifting over and looking at the Byzantine Empire, or looking at other nations that I'm interested in and being like, oh, how are they doing? Are they doing all right? Are they still alive? Did the Ottomans already eat them? So I think that kind of is what makes it, kind of a more intimate experience playing the game. And then on top of that, funny enough, I went to PDXCon earlier, or I guess a few months ago, it would have been, or a few weeks ago, or whenever it was. And they actually had a seminar where they talked about a lot of the statistics they had gathered for the game, and they themselves were shocked when they found out that more people, and I don't remember the actual percentage, so I won't make anything up, but it was a high percentage of people that play the game. Oh, where is it?
It's inside the house.
Okay.
Don't destroy it though, the poor guy. Just click E on it to open it.
Okay. Yeah, so they found out that a large percentage of people who play the game actually prefer to play it without historical settings and everything, so making it so that it's completely random. Like when they originally designed the game, they actually designed it so that it would be you would end up with a more historical world. I don't even know if I can get over this now.
There we go. I just blew out a wall for you. I mean, the guy's gonna be pissed, but it is what it is.
Well, if we move real quickly, he might not notice.
I can't imagine that, though. I honestly can't imagine that. Like, all the fun in the game for me is that it's historical. Like, if you take that away, I mean, it's still fun, but it's not as fun.
Yeah, well, they were just surprised that more people play the game. So they play the game with a historical start, but more people play the game without getting. They don't want a historical end game. They don't want the game to end more like the world. So when they designed the game, they designed it so that it would be, when the game ended, it would be like the world was, when it ended, which I forget what the date is, like 18 something.
Oh, wait, now you got me confused. I thought you were saying that most players wanted to play the game with not historical starts, where, like, France was in, like, Asia or something.
No. I said it. I said it wrong. What I meant was, like, they don't want the game to end historically, so they want a historical start, but then they want the game to end up with, like, crazy stuff like, Spain has taken over France and, Scottish Great Britain and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah, I agree with that, totally.
Yeah, so it was really interesting, though, because they designed the game originally so that it was just going to be, it would end with the game, for the most part, being historical and following history. But they found out that more people playing the game wanted to play with that off than they did wanted to play with it on.
Yeah, I didn't even know that was an option, but I'd much rather let the game develop however it develops. Because otherwise the game gets stale. If, like, every single game France wins or whatever, what's the point?
Yeah, the blue blob.
But yeah, like, another thing, I think it's a very democratic game, because if you are, let's say, Mongolian, you can play Mongolia. Like, how many games out there let you play as Azerbaijan, or you know what I mean? Like, so no matter who you are or where you're from, you're in this game.
Exactly, which is really cool, and it kind of brings it on a personal level.
Which is similar to, there's a mod for Crusader Kings that I love. It's set in the United States of the future, though, like post-apocalyptic United States, and so, like, you got to be like San Francisco, which I adored that. Like, I did a series of it on my channel, and I was like, that is awesome, because it involved me finally in a way that none of the Eurocentric Paradox games had up to that point. And, so I can imagine if you're, like, from Iowa or something, and that's really, you're like, yes, I'm going to build the Empire of Iowa.
Oh, that's really cool, though. I'm going to have to go and actually look at that on your channel now, because I think that's the coolest thing ever.
Yeah, it's called After the End. After the End.
That's awesome. Yeah, I got to look at that. I love mods for games. I've said it before, and I like to make the joke that like I'll find a mod for a game, and I'll be like, "Oh man, this is a really cool mod. I gotta play it." And then I get really upset when I find out I have to purchase the original game DLC for the mod.
Oh yeah.
So
Watch out here. Here, I'm gonna try to fix this for you here. Oh well, it's snow.
Avalanche!
So
oh god!
careful. Ah.
There we go.
Yeah. Sometimes the mods, well, because the mods utilize assets that were only introduced in the DLC.
Yeah, yep.
But
Yeah,
is this,
so
have we been? Is this another area or one that we've already been to?
Oh, you know what? I think that was the cliff that we started off on.
Ah, all right. All right. Well, you know what? We're just about at 20 minutes too, so so we can call this one an episode. And really, it's up to you if you want to do a third one. I'm totally game to continue this conversation in another episode, if you are.
Sure.
All right,
yeah,
cool.
Let's do
so,
it.
ladies and gentlemen, we are going to call this one an end. And next episode of Marcus and Sabouts, we'll continue to discuss gaming, particularly strategy gaming, for which Sabouts is serious about. I'm sorry, I love your name. I love how it has meaning. You know, S Sabouts, right? S about S, serious about strategy. I
That's
like
exactly what it is.
I like that it's got layers. But all right,
Yeah.
ladies and gentlemen, thanks for watching. We'll be back soon.
See you guys.